Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and welcome to Headlines. Headlines for the week of August 5th, 2024. Today is August 8th. And I have three really interesting stories this week. They're all going to be linked in the descriptions. And I really urge everyone to read more about each one of these stories, especially the first one. So let's get into headline number one. I had a body part repossessed. Post 9/11 amputee vets say VA care is failing them. And this comes courtesy of Hope Hodge-Seck, who is an award-winning freelance reporter and editor who has covered the U.S. military and security issues since 2009. And the website to go see this is called The War Horse. And again, I will link to all of this, but if you're just listening, go to The War Horse and read this article. It's a great article, very well written and very extensive. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of the headlines here. Again, go read this whole article. You definitely need to read this. Travis Vandella died 3 times in triage and in a medevac by his own account after the lead Humvee he was directing in Iraq in 2007 drove over an improvised explosive device and blew off both of his legs. Scott Restivo lost his right leg to an infection and sepsis in 2018 after surgery to address injuries he suffered at Fort Drum, New York, and aggravated in Iraq and Afghanistan. Bone cancer claimed Army parachute rigger Matt Brown's left leg after he served for years at Fort Liberty, North Carolina. There's no question about what these 3 Army veterans gave up for their country. Now, still active and in the prime of their 40s, they're fighting to make sure that the country doesn't give up on them. From Utah to Tennessee to North Carolina, they say they're all experiencing similar frustrations with the dense bureaucracy and gaps in care for prosthetics and accessibility equipment provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Restivo has relied on duct tape and loaner legs since last year. Wow. Awaiting repairs to a chip malfunction in his main prosthetic. Vandella bummed rides for months to a high school where he coaches football until the VA contractor finally installed their retrofits to help him drive his new truck. Brown was shocked that a vendor repossessed an ankle joint that improved his mobility because he said that the VA hadn't paid the bill. Repossessed his ankle. That's terrible. All 3 say it's maddening being forced to repeatedly prove why they need body parts and spare prosthetics to live with comfort and mobility. I'm not asking for a $250,000 payoff or something like that, said Restivo, 47, who lives in Cedar Hill, Tennessee, north of Nashville. I just want my life to be as functional as it can be. Absolutely, Mr. Restivo. $1 billion price tag is the sub-headline here, same article. The concerns of amputee veterans and their advocates are now making their way to Capitol Hill, with site visits by the House Veterans Affairs Committee and letters from lawmakers signaling a growing acknowledgement of the program's shortcomings. It took VA more than a month to respond to the War Horse's request for answers. The department twice rescheduled, then canceled an interview with VA's top prosthetic officials before ultimately providing 14 pages of responses on Friday to the questions about his care for amputee veterans. In some cases, officials pushed back on the veterans' accounts of the delays and mismanagement. In others, they acknowledged the failings and said they will do better. We recognize some veterans have faced delays in receiving their prosthetics, and we are actively addressing and resolving any delays in the prosthetic service to ensure veterans receive the prompt care they need for their physical recovery and overall well-being. That's from Gary Kunick, a VA spokesman, and he said that in a statement provided to the War Horse. Well, again, thank you for that information. I think there's a lot of people that don't understand what's going on, myself included. So thank you for providing that. Thank you, everyone at the War Horse. Thank you to, let me get the name here. Thank you to Hope Hodge-Seck, who reported on this story. Again, there's more to this story. This is a very well-written article. Go to the War Horse and read it. If you're just listening to this, I will link to this, though, on YouTube and all the regular platforms. So let's go to headline number 2. long-distance cyclist showing anything is possible despite his above-knee amputation. And this is courtesy of Brittany Hops. She's an anchor and reporter for KCRA in Sacramento. Don't tell Jim Wilkes that he can't do something. Odds are he'll prove you wrong. The native of Folsom, California, and long-distance cyclist is an above-knee amputee. A knee injury was misdiagnosed, leading to a series of surgeries that spanned decades. After his amputation surgery, Wilkes said the doctor asked him about the activities he enjoys. He said he likes to dive, he likes to swim, and he likes to ride a bike. And she goes, oh, and this is a quote from Jim. She goes, oh, well, you'll never ride a bicycle again, Wilkes said. I'm going to stop the article right there. That is very difficult to believe that a doctor said that. I'm not questioning Jim. But, Mr. Wilkes is far from the first person with one leg to ride a bike. It's shocking that someone would actually say that to someone. And I think there's another lesson in here, too. You should ask those types of questions of your doctor before you go in for any kind of amputee or any kind of surgery like that. If they give you an answer like that, I think you need to look for other services. That's not the type of doctor, in my opinion, that is going to be looking after your best care moving forward. Someone that says you'll never ride a bicycle again when it's been well documented. Other amputees have done that without issue. Matter of fact, less than a month ago, I had Todd Key on, who is another above-knee amputee and also missing. He has a deformity because of an accident in one of his upper extremities. He's a Paralympic cyclist. Maybe Mr. Wilkes knows him. I don't know. But I would definitely make sure you are advocating for yourself and ask those questions before you go in. Matter of fact, another above-knee amputee person told me that. And I'm going to link to it right up here, wherever that is. John Werner told me that, and he was on the podcast probably 4 months ago, but he said something very similar. Talk to your doctors, see what their attitude is towards your amputation. Tell them what you like to do, and make sure that you are both on board to getting back to the life that you had before. So good advice from Mr. Warner. Going back to the story, this is about Jim Wilkes. He and his wife left the doctor's office and returned 8 months later when Wilkes rode his bike to her office. You can do whatever you want to, Wilkes said. It may take longer, it may be difficult, but you can do it. Flash forward to today. Wilkes rides his bike roughly 90 miles a week. He travels the world with his wife and their bikes too. He has a special knee that's operated by an app, allowing him to use different modes for cycling. Different modes for cycling, walking, playing basketball, and other activities. He said the knee has allowed him to continue his active lifestyle despite his amputation, and he wants everyone to have the same access and ability to be mobile. And I'm going to quote Jim here, Mr. Wilkes. I work with the Amputee Coalition as a volunteer to help amputees overcome the loss of a limb because there is so much more to live for in life, and you might as well live it instead of feeling sorry for yourself, Jim said. I think that's fantastic advice, Mr. Wilkes. What I would like to add to that, or make sure I have clarity, I can only go off of your quote here. You said that I work with the Amputee Coalition as a volunteer to help amputees overcome the loss of a limb. There are other people that are born different that I think you should expand your horizons on. People that have been born without some of their leg that I think you could help. I think being so narrow-minded and only helping people that have lost limbs doesn't help the community at large. And of course, this is coming from someone that was born different, born without a right hand. But on my podcast, it isn't just about the congenital amputees. It's about everyone. So again, I don't know you. I can only read that quote. And I hope you are doing more than just helping people who have lost a limb. I hope you're helping people no matter how they lost a limb, including being born a certain way. Headline number 3 starts out, trolls say I'm selfish for having my baby because she was born without limbs. And this is courtesy of Emma Dunn and John McPherson from a website called Lancs Live, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's Lancs Live. It's out of the UK. So the story goes, a mom says trolls tell her she is selfish for having her daughter, who was born without any arms or legs. Little Ariana Floriniani, now 8 months old, was born with transverse limb deficiency, which means she doesn't have full arms or legs. Parents Kiera Dupree and Javier Floriniani, 21, were told she had limb difference at 12 weeks at that scan and said they felt pressure to terminate the pregnancy by the doctors. Doctors said Ariana would likely die in the womb, but she beat the odds and was born on July 28th of 2023. Now Ariana is waiting to see when she'll be able to have prosthetics, but can already hold a bottle and sit up by herself. Her mom, Kiera, said trolls on TikTok tell her she is selfish for bringing Ariana into the world. Kiera, a stay-at-home mom, said, everyone says I'm selfish because I decided to bring her into this world like that. But as long as she's happy, I am. She's beautiful no matter what. Kiera and Javier, a maintenance man, were excited when they found out they were expecting in November of 2022. But at her 12-week scan, Kiera was told her baby hadn't developed any limbs. Doctors originally thought Ariana had Roberts syndrome, which is a genetic disorder characterized by limb and facial abnormalities, and would likely not make it to full term. Kiera said they thought she would most likely die and be stillborn. But miracle Ariana arrived via scheduled C-section on July 28th, 2023 at 9:40 a.m., weighing exactly 5 pounds. Kiera said, I was excited. It was a relief. She was diagnosed with transverse limb deficiency and stayed in the hospital for a week. She was also being monitored for a heart murmur before coming home to Kiera. And Kiera said right now she's trying to lift her head up while she's lying down. She's really doing great. She's very determined. When her pacifier falls out, she tries to put it back in her mouth. Great. Kiera struggled with the cruel trolls at first. She said, it was hard at first. I was bullied, and I have all of my limbs. I'm trying to teach my daughter that not everyone in this world is cruel. For some reason, I think they think she's paralyzed. She can move. She does everything a normal kid does. Great story, and I hate to hear that, Kiera. Hate to hear that you're getting trolled on the internet for just doing nothing but having a beautiful baby. I know a little bit about being born different, and there's nothing that can stop your daughter, Ariana, from doing what she wants to do. I'm with you 100%, and I'm rooting for you. And don't worry about those trolls. They're going to be out there, unfortunately. Just continue to move forward and do what's right for your daughter. Well, that's headlines for this week. Today is August 8th. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love it if you could like the podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on. Like the podcast and subscribe. It really helps get the stories out that we want to get out. My next person on the podcast is a gentleman who invented a pill bottle, a medicine bottle, that can be opened with one hand. I don't know what that audience is. Who knows who that's for? I'm kidding. I'm really looking forward to that. So be ready for that one. It's coming out on Tuesday. What is the Tuesday going to be? The 13th. It's going to come out that day. If you have any suggestions for things you want me to talk about, please let me know. Please comment on all of the stories I talk about. And you have to go to the articles. Please show some support to the people that wrote these articles. They took time out of their day to write these articles, get them on their website. And like I said, there's more information on the links that I'm going to share. So thank you. Have a great day.